Mostly this is a story about how gullible I am. Let's just be honest. I'm a soft heart for people that I like. I like to take care of friends and family. And this is yet another Dwayne got taken advantage of story that you keep pulling out of me because I think they're interesting. So.
Well, you could substitute I for we.
Okay.
Because
we've done it all.
Yes. All right, go ahead.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the number one sugar dating podcast in Luxembourg and the rest of the world. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Where we pull back the curtains on the good and the bad. And Lily?
The romantic.
What? No. The shocking stories.
Shockingly romantic, then.
Of sugar dating. Well, it's probably because we just had a Valentine's.
Yeah, love is in the air.
Love is in the air. We did a little double date with Lily and Trucker yesterday.
We sure did.
And Lily stopped us at dinner and says, "We have some news."
Yeah.
Oh my God. Alejandra and I were like, what's the news?
Our guest is looking at my ring. That's old news. The new news is we found a house.
You found a house. We've been house hunting.
Yes.
But you guys end up doing a special deal with it's kind of a lease to own, and you're going to pull the trigger a little bit later. But good, because Trucker hates HOAs.
Oh, yes.
And he's having the hardest time just parking in his own driveway. They're bitching about it. It's unbelievable.
Well, ironically, the house that we're purchasing has an HOA, but there's no fee and there's no bylaws.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's almost like, because we asked him, we're like, there's an HOA. Yeah, but it doesn't cost anything. And then so he gave us a copy of it, and all it talks about is like the roles of the board members of the HOA, and there's literally no rules.
How many houses are in this HOA?
I don't know. It's
just like a little cul-de-sac that you're buying.
Ocho Nueve or something like that.
Yeah,
is the area.
Okay.
But we're in a little cul-de-sac. But I think it incorporates some of the houses behind too. I don't know.
Okay, well,
but I don't think there's any rules. So,
well, I'm excited to see your new house. It's not new, but your new to you house.
Yeah.
And you get the keys today?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my God, that's exciting.
There's some changes we want to make right away, but it's nice. I like it. It's massive.
It's in the Arcadia area of Phoenix. So if you local people know that area, it's the hotbed of Phoenix right there. So
yeah,
I know you guys you've got a lease option. It's pretty penny, but like I told Trucker last night, you can't go wrong with that area.
No.
I mean, you could pay $1.9 million for a house, and then in 2 years that you don't like it, sell it for $3 million.
Here's hoping.
But sounds like you guys really going to like it, and the location is fantastic.
Yeah, it really is.
So cool.
The property's awesome. It's got like a half basketball court in the backyard.
Yeah.
It's got a beautiful swimming pool, hot tub. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, glad to hear it. Well, maybe we'll have our next sugar dating party there.
Maybe.
That would be fun, huh?
I mean, we've got like 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. Yeah, it's a big place.
All right. Well, and before we get to our guest, one last thing. That Phoenix Open sure was fun this year, right?
It was a nightmare.
It rained. So we get the most beautiful weather in Arizona, and this week is fantastic. But for the Phoenix Open, it was rainy and cold. We got all this rain that was hitting Southern California really bad.
It was miserable.
Yeah.
Trucker and I went one day. It was just simply miserable.
Well, I hope you guys don't judge the entire experience off that one day, because you didn't really get to experience it.
Well, last year I went with you, and it was beautiful weather, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
But it's just hard for me to be happy when I'm cold and wet and miserable.
I think that's true for about anybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our guest today, I've brought him back for the third time. Not only do I enjoy talking to him, but for some reason, you guys love this guy. I was looking back at all the stats. Sugar Daddy Dwayne, episode 106, where you debuted, It is still the number one downloaded episode we have in the first 7 days. You have blown every episode out of the water that we've ever released for the first 7 days, except I've got one that's trending really hard this week and is probably going to surpass it. But you're still the record holder, so welcome back, Sugar Daddy Dwayne.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know what episode is about to beat his?
I have a guess. I think I'm current on all the episodes I've seen so far.
It's Amanda and the Dichotomy Diaries, where her Mormon husband was a secret sugar baby behind her back to other men. That one is getting massive downloads right now. We've only released it a few days ago. Of course, when this podcast comes out, it'll be a few weeks ago. But that one will probably take over the number one spot. But congratulations. I mean, I think that one released back in August of 2023. Yeah, it's the number one downloaded episode we have.
Which episode was it?
106.
106.
And then we also brought him back for 116. Now, that one also trended very well, but I don't know his first episode. You know what I think people liked?
What was that?
Was, here's what you say. Here's what, or what is it? How men would say it.
I think it was the men's equivalent of things that you see on Seeking. Yeah.
That was very popular. We get a lot of comments.
I should have thought about it and come up with some more of those. That would have been fun. But yeah.
You liked that one, didn't you, Lily?
Yeah, that was fun. That really was.
So what's up, Sugar Daddy Dwayne? Glad to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, mostly just kind of living life, enjoying the good weather and free time and living life. Played some more chess tournaments and won a few and lost a bunch, and which is about average. And otherwise, just enjoying my days.
Well, your episode 116, we got into a really fun story where you guys, if you haven't heard it, you need to go. Like, the whole episode was this one story, but it was so entertaining because I've been a part of a story very, very similar. What's going on lately?
Well, lately I have found a girl that I am starting to kind of settle down with. So I haven't been on the site in a while, so I don't have as much new insights from why would they write that, that kind of a thing. Found a girl, we'll call her Summer. Seems to be checking some of the boxes for me. And I'll tell you this, here's what put her to the top of the list. When we were first texting, and, as we've talked about, I have some kinky interests that I put enough in my profile so people aren't completely confused and surprised by that. She said she loves to be a good girl and would love to come cook and clean for me. And I went, well, that's unique. Wow. I have to find out what that is all about. And I have found her so interesting and attractive that she hasn't cooked a single bite or cleaned a single spot because we're busy doing other things.
Wow.
And where did you meet this one?
This one was on Seeking.
Oh, you did meet her on Seeking.
This one came from Seeking.
Okay. How old is she?
29. Just became 29.
And remind us how old you are.
I am 54.
Yeah, he's real close to us.
There's a gap, but that's about right. So, in my opinion.
Well, very good. And if you haven't heard his previous episodes, go back and listen to 106 and 116. But Sugar Daddy Dwayne says, I'm not a wealthy man, but I make enough money that I have some disposable income, and that's why I'm on the sugar dating site.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Want some to share. And so
I think more people are in your position than not.
Well, mathematically, that has to be true.
Yeah, right.
If we take a slice of the population. I'm especially excited when I can find a girl who is not trying to get rich off of me, because I have to be rich first, and that just ain't true. But I look to make every part of her life better with fun and excitement and comfort and just, easing some of the stresses of her life. And I'm finding that sometimes a relatively small amount can make a really big difference. Mm-hmm. When you work for what she works for, what some of the girls that I meet work for, an extra $200 or $300 a week makes a big difference. When you pay all your bills and you've got $40 left and you have a sugar daddy who can give you a few hundred, that doesn't fit with things like the Sugar Lifestyle Forum. They would swear that $10,000 is a minimum, depending on who you talk to. But I'm finding that I can make a girl's life better not just with our time together. I'd like to think I'm a pretty good guy to hang around, but also just the rest of her life. And yeah, it's enough that keeps me sane and happy in this situation because I think I'm making a positive difference without being fleeced and without being a cheapskate. So somewhere in between those two is the happy medium.
Now, is she exclusive to you or?
She just used the word exclusive with me last time we met. She was describing that she was telling somebody in her friends and family circle. She had apparently described just enough of the sugar lifestyle that she began to get some judgment back. And she said, no, you don't understand. It's not like that. We're exclusive in everything. And I went, that's the first time that word has come out. Okay.
And what'd you think?
I was quite happy about that because I have not been seeking anyone else and not been seeing anyone else. So it has turned out that I was already exclusive to her, but I'm like, oh, well, if that's what she thinks, I have no problem just locking that in. So there you go. Yeah.
Perfect.
Summer.
So did I ever tell you, Lily, how much I was paying Madison? So I met her in 2017. She's the 2.5-year on and off relationship I had, this is the reason I even started this podcast.
Now, is she the one that was batshit crazy? And
Well,
They
that's
all are.
that I know.
that
right?
describes a lot of them.
I haven't narrowed it down
The
yet.
one that was addicted to pills?
No, that was my very first one.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was the other one that started with an
Okay,
A.
I don't think I know a lot about Madison.
Well, she was the on and off one. She had her job. She had 3 kids, and we just kind of dated casually. But all she requested, because she had a good job, really good job, full time, and she did have some child support from her husband, but she also had a little Amazon shopping addiction. She just loved it, and she
I
said,
can relate.
and she said, "Look, just an extra $300 a week will make a huge difference in my life." Bam, done. That's all she requested.
Perfect.
But I mean, it went a lot more than that. We went on vacations. I flew her and her daughter to San Diego. We got Airbnbs and fancy restaurants. There was a lot more than just $300 cash to her every week, and she was happy.
Yeah.
Now, Alejandra that requires a lot more just because she doesn't have a job. She's in school,
Right.
and she needs a little extra support than that.
Are you her sole source of support?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, she did save up a lot of money when she was working as a nanny, and I was also supporting her then. So she was able to save up a lot and have like a little emergency fund, which is good.
Was that
Yeah.
because of you, or had she already
Both.
got that? Okay.
Both.
It was partly under your tutoring that she,
Yeah. Because, gosh, it's almost coming up on 2 years since I started seeing her. So
When's your anniversary?
it's in July.
Yeah, it is coming up.
Yeah. By the time this comes out, just a few months away.
Our 1 year is right around the corner.
Oh, yeah. So we were just reminiscing with Trucker and Lily. I actually, Alejandra and I went on their real first date with them. And she just kind of invited us along. It was the funniest thing.
I needed backup. I wasn't too sure about this guy.
Yeah. And we're like,
Even though,
okay.
it was a date to a Suns game. So it was a public date, but I just wasn't sure we were going to have enough to talk about. I just wanted to kind of get some feedback from my posse about what do you guys think about this guy? Because I'm not sure yet.
We've
Yeah.
already talked about how first dates are just awkward and you never know how they're going to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you
But
brought a
it's not
team.
like I've been on Lily's first dates with her. It's just this one we happened to go on.
Yeah.
And it was magic, apparently.
Well, it
I
turned
think
out
the way
to
it
be.
worked out was I said, well, he invited me to a Suns game. And I think you said, oh, I've been meaning to take Alejandra to a Suns game. I was like, ooh, you guys gonna go? Should we make this like we meet for dinner and then go to the game? And he was cool with it. And
Yeah.
Alejandra was excited to go. Was that her first Suns game?
Yes. Or no, it couldn't have been.
No?
No, I think she'd been before. But
Oh, okay.
but we had a lot of fun that night. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Trucker, in his usual way, he grabs the bill before we can even see it, pays for us all. And I'm like, dude, I didn't come here for a free dinner. I mean, I've got my date with me. And he has been that way ever since. I cannot wrestle that
He
bill out
wasn't
of his
just being on best behavior. That's just his nature.
hand.
He's
No,
super
he just-
generous.
Yeah. It's really nice. Like the people you meet in this lifestyle.
Most of us are pretty normal.
Yeah.
I think, like you're kind of alluding to there, I'm a little bit surprised at that too. There are some wackos, of course. But
Always.
most
Oh,
of
yes,
the-
there are.
Yes,
Always.
there are. But, most of the girls that I've met have been either full-on scammers or really sweet, nice girls. And the men that I've known are pretty normal guys. So, yeah.
Well, tell us about this first date that you met Summer. Where did you go? How did it go? How long ago was this?
Yeah, this was, 4 or 5 months ago now,
Okay.
probably. Had been chatting off and on. And actually, this was right after the roommate situation, which, Lily, I think you might have expressed some interest in that way long ago when we were first talking. I might have to tell you a little bit more about that. But I was kind of rebounding from an attempt at a roommate half sugar kind of a situation that just went very poorly.
Wait.
I'm going to
We
skip right over
definitely
that.
want details about this.
Yeah. So I met Summer, and she was just awesome, and that's all we have to talk about. So yeah, nothing there.
No. Because I have been in your position, as you could probably imagine. I've had some roommates who I met on Seeking, and it was kind of a half sugar. Then it turned into an absolute disaster. And what was your experience?
All right.
I mean, I could get into details on mine, but I want to hear yours.
All right. Well, so
Even though you want to allude away from it.
so this girl's name is Violet. Call her Violet, and I had been seeing her off and on for a number of years.
Is that her porn star name?
No.
Oh, because I did meet a girl on Seeking, and that was her porn star name.
Okay.
Oh, shit. I was like, tell me it's not the same
I
girl.
don't think so. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, all right,
I
all right.
could have called her Petunia or something. Just
Okay,
to be
all
safe.
right, all right.
So I had been seeing her off and on for a long time, and by off and on I mean once a quarter. It was really in that as situations just happened to unfold, and really liked her. We've talked before about most men have a type, a range of a type, and Violet is like dead center in the middle of mine. So I was, quite happy anytime I got a chance to see her. But she lives all the way out on the northwest valley of Phoenix, of 5 million people.
So basically
population.
halfway to Vegas.
She's most of the way to Vegas. Yeah, way, way out there. So she doesn't come out on this end of town hardly at all. So when she did, we would sometimes see each other and really liked her.
Wait a minute. Was she living with her mom?
No, she was living with her roommate's mom, her roommate's parents, her bestie's parents. So, all right, so I'll keep going.
Sorry,
I know
'cause-
you keep looking for a commonality.
Well,
there,
no,
but
because
yeah.
you start describing people that sound very familiar to me.
Well, okay.
I'm just like, because
Yeah.
it can be a small world.
Describe
It
what
can be.
Violet looks like.
So she is 5'7", 5'8",
I knew it.
blonde. Yeah, right, right. Super thin. Is a tattoo artist herself, and so is relatively covered with tattoos.
Oh, no, it's not.
I'm not typically a tattoo guy, but on this particular body, I have no problem with them. So,
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
you know what that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so had known her off and on, followed her on Snapchat a little bit, so just kind of every now and then being aware. She paints and does tattoo artistry and all kinds of things. So had noticed on her feed that she was stressed out about having to drive so far because she was driving from Surprise all the way to Gilbert every day to go to school.
Okay, and for people that don't know that drive, it's about 40 minutes, 45 minutes?
40 to 45 minutes. That's with no
Across city,
traffic.
yeah, okay.
And her school times were, I think, 3 to 7.
Yeah,
So
okay.
all rush hour drive. So I noticed that on the feed, and we would chat every now and then just over the years. And so I just mentioned, what are you doing all the way out here, whatever, and struck up enough of a conversation that said, well, you're right around the corner from my house. And I looked it up, and it's like 3/4 mile from my house compared to her her school compared to the 45-mile drive that they were making every day. So I thought, hey, what a great idea. Let me just help her out.
Brilliant idea.
Brilliant idea.
Now, was she driving to school by herself?
She was driving with her best friend,
Okay.
who is physically less than able, we'll put it that way. So she was the only driver. They couldn't trade off driving responsibilities or anything, but they were going to this special tech school together
Okay.
to get some certification. So I thought, why not? I have a spare bedroom. I like her already. Let me just offer the spare bedroom because it's just right around the corner, because she's going to graduate in November. This was during the summer. So she's going to graduate in just a few months. The worst that happens is I have a bad roommate for 4 or 5 months. This can probably work out. But every time we've been together, she's just sweet and wonderful, and we have wonderful times together. I bet we can work something out. So as the conversation continues, she slowly filters in, well, if we did this, I have my best friend who is in a wheelchair, that she would have to stay. And I said, well, that's okay, I guess. I mean, as long as you're going to share a room, I'll find a way to make that work. That's not a problem. Talked for a few more days, about a week along the way, and then came out, well, I have a dog. I'd have to bring my dog too.
Of course.
Okay, well, what breed is it? If it's a small
Just
dog,
say
that's
not
fine.
a Great Dane.
It's not a Great Dane, but it is a pit bull.
Oh, okay.
Now, of course, pitties are the sweetest dogs ever, so, I love this dog. However, this is now becoming an operation, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's not just she happens to crash every now and then. It's now moving in with her and her best friend and her dog to try to help them out. So we talked, and I think we came to a clear arrangement. And I won't get into any of the details there, but it amounted to, she also does massage therapy, a bunch of her on the side work. So it amounted to some amount of intimacy, some amount of massage therapy in exchange for rent, food, and pay. So I was going to contribute in a bunch of different ways, paying her for massage, etc., those kind of things. That I felt like was pretty clear. Had a roommates meeting before they moved in and was very clear at that point. This is the way this is going to work. This is the relationship that you and I have, and this is the relationship that the two of you have. And I thought we had got it all straight.
What are you thinking, Lily? You got a big smile on your face. You're like, this is headed for trouble.
I can only imagine the shenanigans that went down.
I have said these exact words.
Did the best friend understand your dynamic, like the sugar dynamic?
Yes. Enough that in that first meeting, I open-ended questioned of, well, what do you know about how Violet and I know each other?
Uh-huh.
And she relatively clearly described that, yeah, you've been seeing each other for a long time. You've met on the sugar site. And I went, okay, so she gets it.
So Violet is sugaring for free rent for the both of them?
For the both of them.
And the dog.
And the dog.
Did you buy the dog food?
Yes.
God.
You can feel that.
That's the least of the Lily.
You fed everyone.
That's the least of the problems. That's
You
exactly
fed
right.
and sheltered everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. You must have really liked Violet.
I really liked Violet.
Do you
yes.
still like Violet?
Well, hey, we haven't even got
The
into
story is still going.
Yeah, he
Lily.
hasn't got into the meat of it, which
Let's
I
do this
cannot wait.
flashback style.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We can do that. Flash forward to the present, and I am glaring at you while you ask that question. And now we'll go back into the past. All right.
Oh, I can hardly wait for the
So,
rest of this story.
Now, mostly this is a story about how gullible I am. Let's just be honest. I'm a soft heart for people that I like. I like to take care of friends and family. And this is yet another Dwayne got taken advantage of story that you keep pulling out of me because I think they're interesting. So,
Well, you could substitute I for we.
okay.
Because
We've done it all.
yes. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So here's the thing that I think is most interesting about this whole ordeal. We finally calculate a date for them to begin moving in, and they're going to take it slow. I have an air mattress that I've set up in the spare bedroom. They're just going to start with that and just see whether they even like it while they're driving back and forth to their normal home where they're paying rent. Now, Violet is telling me from time to time that she is just so stressed out because rent is due every Monday in cash on the counter. And that means she has to do, she has to work extra, has to sell a painting, or she has to do massage work or something, and it's got to be on time. And they're just stressing her out.
Wait, she pays weekly?
She pays weekly.
Okay.
She pays her best friend's parents weekly rent to stay with them. So,
all right.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, we can find a way to make this a whole lot easier on you, I think, because we're basically exchanging for sugar and massage, which is right down the hall. She doesn't have to pack up her table. She doesn't have to go anywhere. It's just right here, an automatic client, there you go. So I'm feeling like this is a pretty good deal. And she says it's a pretty good deal.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
It
Lily,
must
is
be
that a
fun.
good deal?
That's a fantastic deal if you can live with someone and be around them that much. Because I thought it was a great deal moving in with Scorpio, and that turned into a nightmare.
See, you could substitute the word I for we.
For we.
We've done this.
All
Yeah.
three. Okay.
Yeah.
All
go,
right.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll be curious to see which side of this equation you were on. I suspect you were more on my side than Violet's side, but we'll see what happens. So we're now set to begin moving in. So they start sleeping for a couple of nights, and they decide that this is just fine. I've met the dog, and they have a big crate that they keep the dog in, and everything seems to be all right. So this is actually working out well. But timing is a little bit weird because I have already scheduled an out-of-town trip where I am going to be away from home for about 10 days, coming up in just a few days. So Dwayne, being the
Gregarious,
gregarious,
gentleman.
polite, gentlemanly type, says, well, how about I just go ahead and leave you a key and you can just start using the house if you would like to. I'm not going to be here. And I am very clear with Violet that everything we've talked about will begin when I come home. So you basically get a week and a half for free, and then I'll come home and we'll begin everything that we've talked about. I think Marcus knows where this is going.
Yes, I do.
So I head off to my trip, and I'm participating in a tournament, and I'm texting back and forth every now and then. And I am, just to give you an idea of how badly this is going for me, I'm head over heels. I like this girl. I've always liked this girl. And now, instead of living all the way across town where I never get to see her, she's actually just like right down the hall.
Yeah, you're excited
This
about
is
this whole
great.
setup.
So, walking past in one of the hotels in Vegas, I was in Vegas, I'll tell you, it was at the Rio. There's a kind of a kiosk, if you're familiar there, that walks by that sells jewelry.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, oh, well, this is fun. They've got some relatively low prices, not ready to go crazy, but I can buy her some nice things. So I actually buy some jewelry while I'm in Vegas to give to Violet when I come home, because I want to express that this is fun and exciting, and I'm excited to have you in my life for these next few months. I think I'm doing all the right things. That's a little bit of a red flag, by the way, because, little love bombing going on. That wasn't my intention there, but I'm like, hey, I'm really happy with this. I want to make sure that she knows that.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of jewelry.
A little bit of love bombing. Not too much, but a little bit.
A little bit is probably okay.
It's okay. It's acceptable.
Yeah. So you can tell that where I'm at, I'm ecstatic. And I'm on the way. The trip is over. I'm on my way home. Get to see Violet. I've been gone for 9 days. I haven't seen her, and I am ready to see her. We'll put it that way, right?
You're revving your engine.
I'm revving my engine, baby. I am on the way home. So I pull into the garage, come in, and they're home from school. And so they're lounging on the bed where they stayed all their time in the spare bedroom. And I'm like, hey, good to see you. And she barely lifts her head from the pillow and says, hey. This is the greeting I get. Now, I should have probably known at that point that maybe something was up, right? Because in the midst of all the texts and all of that, she's not acting even remotely excited to see me. But I say, well, come see me in a little while. She goes, oh, I'm just so tired. School, I'm just so worn out.
Oh, man.
Oh, poor baby. You know what? It's okay. Take a little bit of time. Just come talk to me because, I haven't seen you in a while. Just come see me in a little while. Mm-hmm. Hour goes by. She doesn't emerge. A couple hours go by. She doesn't emerge. I go to bed. She doesn't emerge. Next morning, Nobody has stirred.
Violet was not being a good girl.
She was not being a good girl.
She was a very bad girl.
And when it comes time for them to leave for school, I can hear their door open, silently just walk out the door, go get in the car, and drive away. Not a word.
You're like, well, this is awkward.
Not exactly what I had in mind here, but okay.
Yeah.
Maybe she was just having a bad night. Fine. No big deal. She'll come home from school tonight, and she'll be ready to greet Daddy. This will be fine.
Oh, God.
Right?
Whack.
Yeah. You can guess what happened. She
Yeah.
came home and, just so exhausted, and it was just so stressful.
It's like getting married. All of a sudden, all that hotness is gone.
All gone.
Right, Lily?
Well, the funny thing is, I mean, how long had she been moving in before you went on your trip?
2 or 3 days. So
And
that was very
she
short.
was affectionate then?
She was affectionate once then, right? Which was perfectly within the acceptable guidelines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm 54. As much as I'd like to think I'm capable of more than that, I'm not. So, that was perfectly fine.
Okay.
So how long did this go on?
So, had a conversation about it. It's just like, hey, just want to check in. Remember, we have an arrangement.
And that's a tough conversation.
It
to
is a
have.
tough
It's
conversation.
very awkward.
Well, and here's what I would like to hear from Lily, if you have your perspective on it. Because if you read on various forums and listen to sugar babies talk, this is very awkward for them as well. This seems to happen a lot. He promised me X, but he's only delivering Y. What do I do? So I'm just curious, have you ever had a conversation like that where you've had to talk to a sugar daddy who isn't doing what you feel like was agreed, and how did you approach that?
Oh, absolutely. It's
Gold
just
question right
so
there.
awkward. I had this problem with my ER doctor.
Oh, that's right.
Kind of expected to get my sugar on the first of the month every month, and he would just forget, and I'd be like, do I say something? Do I let it go for a few more days? Because I was to the point where I was kind of counting on it, and it was a little bit of a contentious subject. So
How did you approach it? Did you?
I waited a few days, and I mean, this happened more than once. I would wait a few days and I'd be like, so, hey, I just didn't know what you were expecting, like when you were going to come through with your end of the
Yeah,
bargain.
you're just like,
Because I'm most certainly coming through with my end of the bargain on the regular. So did you just space it, or what's going on? Or,
and what was his response?
he would get a little defensive. Here was the thing is he overpromised. He couldn't really afford what he had guaranteed. And so I don't think he wanted to admit that. Finally, we did have a conversation where he's like, I thought I could pull this off, but I really can't. So, I'm going to need to either back off of that amount or go our separate ways or figure something out. So
And
Good for him for
what'd
coming
you
clean.
do?
I was like, thank you for telling me. I didn't understand what was going on. And yeah, we can back off that amount. I still want to see you, until I didn't want to see him anymore. But that had nothing to do with our arrangement. It had just to do with his personality.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you can imagine this conversation is set up to be awkward. So she comes home from school, kind of disappears for a while. I eventually hear her clattering around in the kitchen. So let me just go talk to her for a little bit. And I will say that throughout this experience, I learned a new term, covert narcissist. If you don't know what that is, it's a narcissist who has learned to wear a mask and portray not narcissism, but to portray all the normal characteristics of empathy and thoughtfulness and all of that, but it's not true on the inside. And they use that to find their new source, is one of the words that you can find about that. They're looking for sources of energy. Give you a little bit of a heads up. That's what I think I ran into. I ran into a covert narcissist. Because when this conversation started, it's like, hey, Violet, well, we had an arrangement. I haven't seen you in 10 days. I'm kind of eager.
Right.
Yeah.
Love to see you.
Been thinking about you, texting you, all
I
this.
brought you jewelry.
Bought you jewelry even. Well, she didn't even know that at the time because she hasn't talked to me, right? I've been home for nearly 24 hours and she has given me no more than 3 words. So I got a whole long list of responses from her that started with, "You're being unfair," right to my face.
Verbally?
"You're being unfair. You don't know how hard it is for me going to school." Now, I suppose, I don't know whether I handled it correctly or not, but without reacting to any of that, I just sat and listened and said, school is how long? 3 hours a day? So she realized that wasn't going to work. So then she changed to anger. "Well, you just think that you are entitled to stuff." "Yes, I do." "Because we have an agreement and you're not holding up the agreement." That didn't work. So then she tried crying. "This is why things never work out for me. Everybody hates me."
Oh, God.
I don't hate you, and that's not what I said, and that's not true. All you need to do is what you agreed to. She went through a long list of emotions, finally got to one, and I think I've realized now after it's gone through, after trying a number of these basically gaslighting techniques, she got to honesty, about 5th on the list of things that she's trying, which then became, I'm just so used to being taken advantage of that I guess I'm being overly cautious. That one worked because I thought finally she's leveling with me. Mm-hmm. I think now in retrospect, that was just next on her list. And had I brushed that off, I would have gotten something else. But I said, okay, I can fully understand that. Let me demonstrate that I am in fact a good guy. And I'm going to give you the space that you need to feel better because
that's what you told her?
That's what I told her. I'm like, I'm going to give you the space that you need. I absolutely understand.
Good response, I
but
guess.
It's up to you to come to me when you're ready because, we had an agreement.
You remember we had an agreement.
We had an agreement, and now you've moved in and you got a week and a half of rent. So, and I'm saying all this kindly, but still there's an arrangement here.
Yeah, which is dead.
Lily, would you like to guess how many days it took before I saw any of her fulfilling her side of the arrangement?
Probably never.
I can't even wager a guess. I'm just going to guess at least a month.
Oh, she didn't stay that long.
Oh.
I will say it was 3 days. However, Marcus, in the midst of all of this discussion, it was clear that this is not an exclusive relationship. And my statement was, as long as my needs are being met, you can do whatever you want. We're not exclusive. You can see anyone you want to. Because that was one of her concerns is, we're girls. We might like to have guys over. I'm like, that's fine with me as long as you're taking care of me. There's a pattern that is going to establish here. So finally, I think it was 3 more days later, she found me and was like, hey, I've got a little bit of time. Would you like to? Well, by now, Marcus, I'm like, yeah, right? I'm about to explode.
You're excited.
So, yeah. So we go and spend a little bit of time. But where I'm used to a date, an intimate date, this was much more of a hit it and quit it.
Yeah.
On her part.
Yeah.
I mean, the moment I go into the bathroom to clean up, she's out the door.
Right. Job done.
I get a text from her a few minutes after she left my bedroom. Hey, by the way, I have a friend coming over. Just thought I'd let you know.
Interesting.
Again, Dwayne is a patsy, apparently. This is how bad this story is. I will cut to the chase. Within 3.5 weeks after they had moved out, because this is clearly not going to work, the only time I ever got anything there was no massages that we had agreed to. So thankfully, to my credit, there was no money handed over either because that was the part of
because you
the
were going to
arrangement.
pay for the massage.
I was going to pay for extra for the massage to give her. Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was being very generous. Rent and utilities and all of that, and money as well. Anyway, I think I can look at myself in the mirror, but maybe not. Maybe I'm a bad guy. I don't know. But The only times I ever saw her for any kind of sugar was on the same day that she had someone else coming over. And it was usually right before. I saw her 3 times in 3.5 weeks total, from the very first day and then out of town and then 2 more times. You would think that would be okay, but the only time I ever saw her was when she was having a friend over about a half an hour after she left my room. And that is kind of painful.
And weird.
And weird.
Well, guy friend?
Yes, a guy friend.
Okay.
A guy friend. Yeah.
And you think
more than
she
just a
was
friend?
being intimate with this guy right after?
Oh, no question.
Where was the wheelchair girl at this point?
Oh, she would just go wait in the other room.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So this is so awkward. You're feeling taken advantage of.
Yes.
And used for free rent, basically, and she's not holding up her end of the bargain. Did you have the conversation of, well, maybe this isn't working? Because that's another hard conversation to have. You kind of need to
You're
head
going to have
on
to find
out.
something else. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you another piece, and then you can decide how much of this, if any of it, is actually going to make air. You might edit all of this out and decide he's a bad guest today. So after a week and a half or so, about a week of this goes by, where I'm basically saying to her every day, when you come home in a good mood, when you feel good, you need to come see me. You need to share that energy with me. You're not sleeping in my room with me, but you're in my home. This is enough of a relationship that I will wait for you to have a good day. But when you have a good day, I expect you to share that energy with me. And I had said that on a number of occasions. Well, that day finally came. She came home. They had done some kind of an acting event, something or other, and she was just on cloud 9, dressed to the nines. She was dressed in this baby blue dress. She hardly ever wears a dress, but this one looked good, Marcus. This one looked good. And she's in makeup and just bubbly and happy and just on the top of the world. This is the girl I've known. This is the girl who's always come over, right? Every time we've ever seen her before, this is my Violet. Oh, she's back.
Hello, Violet.
Hello, Violet. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad to hear about it. I can't wait to hear more about the play that you were just in. I would love to hear about that. She goes off and does whatever she does. I am in the kitchen and I hear footsteps right behind me, and she is out the door. She just leaves out the garage door, not saying a word. Had I not been in the kitchen, I wouldn't have even known that she had left. And I went, wait, she'll be right back. She'll be right back. This is my old Violet. She went somewhere and she's going to come right back. A couple hours pass, 3 or 4 hours pass. I'm kind of waiting up for her because I'm like, this is my Violet. She's finally here. Mm-hmm. Stayed out all night long. Came back the next afternoon, 2:00 in the afternoon. Her roommate very quietly came out of the room, wheeled out the front door, slowly, gently turning the deadbolt, and snuck out of the house. So I think she knew she was in trouble and was trying her best not to even come in the house. Now, in the meantime, I had talked to the roommate with help me understand. I don't know what's going on. I don't get it. So the roommate apparently sat out in the car and talked to her and said, he's not happy. You need to go talk to him. She came in and repeated the exact same script. She started off, you're being unfair. Then she went angry. Then she went, hurt and misused, in exactly the same order, all the way down to honesty. And I took it again. I accepted that as, oh, she's being honest this time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this cycle repeated one more time before finally it was like, this is not going to work.
How old are these girls?
Late 20s.
Wow.
Yeah. You would expect that of a teenager or something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. But
Yeah, I thought maybe they were extremely young. Terrible communication.
Well, my conclusion is, I think we had talked about this maybe the first time that I had come when we were talking about scammers and things. It's really not personal. And I think in her case, she was looking for a source, and it was she found me, but it wasn't really directed at me. I just happened to be the next one that could feed her. The emotional draw that she was looking for there, the emotional hurt that she could impart, I just happened to be next on the list. It wasn't really personal.
Okay, so this lasted from beginning to end, from them moving in to them moving out. How long?
3.5 weeks.
Okay, well, you got you got out.
I got
better,
out way
You got off easy.
easier
Yes.
than I did.
And did you just ask them to leave or they just left?
Actually, it was close enough to mutual because she was aware I was about to have the conversation. I'll tell you, I was passive aggressive. I don't typically like to behave this way, but I did. Being rather upset after another one of these incidents, I went to Home Depot and bought all new lock sets for all the doors and changed the doorknobs, left the same key, but changed the doorknobs and locks on all the doors. They moved out the next morning. I suspect, and I bought a bunch of moving boxes and things that were visible in the garage. I'm
You
reasonably
didn't
certain.
say anything.
I
You
didn't
just
say, because she wasn't
did some
talking to me.
actions.
But I'm reasonably sure it was, what's all that? The doorknob is different. We better get out of Dodge. And that's roughly how it ended.
You ever talk to her after that?
Yes, interestingly enough, on move out day, one of the things I had shared with her is just, one of the demons that I battle is I kind of have an abandonment issue. I can be hurt by abandonment. I'll just be honest with you, and just don't do that to me and we'll be fine. Well, moved out on a Saturday morning. She got a bunch of family members to come help move her. I happened to be up early and I was puttering around in the garage and running errands and various things. And at some point she poked her head out in the garage, says, "Oh, you're already up." Mm-hmm. Closed the door. I ran a couple errands back and forth. At one point I was out for a little while. She texted, "Hey, are you gone for the day or are you coming back or what?" "Oh, I'll be right back. About 20, 30 minutes. "Oh, okay." When I came back, not a word. Not a word. Until finally she happened to be in the kitchen. And that's the thing. It's not like she's completely evil. She was cleaning dishes and kind of putting things back in order. But I finally just kind of started a conversation with her. It's like, "Hey, I know none of us is quite happy with the situation, but where do you think this is going? What can we do about this?" And she finally then turned around and said, "People are coming to move us out. They'll be here in 15 minutes.
Wow.
I am convinced she was trying to just space. She was trying to just disappear and have me come home to an empty house. Mm-hmm. And that's a little hurtful to me because I'm like, that is the one thing I asked you not to do. That was how that ended. But interestingly enough, in the midst of all of that, she came out into the garage to talk to me for a little while, blamed it all on the roommate. It's not my fault. She just isn't getting along, and there you go. But I'd love to still come see you. She had a remote garage door clicker. She's like, "Can I keep the clicker?" And I decided it would be easier just to change it if I had to. I'm like, "Yeah, just keep the clicker. There's no reason for drama right now." She's got a bunch of her family members over, and a few of them, father figure types, I can assume, just by the way they were walking up the driveway, I think they expected a confrontation. I'm like, I don't need this. Just let them move out. Everything is fine. I'll just stay over here by myself. So I let that conversation go. But yeah, the next day, the next school day, she actually came over for a while afterwards just to sit and talk for a little while.
Because the pressure is gone now.
I think that it might be something like that. Yeah.
I've been through this, and I've had these agreements, and obviously we don't have time to get into my stories, but I can understand exactly what you went through. It's a tense situation in your own home. And then finally, once you've resolved this tension by her moving out or you've agreed to part ways, now the tension is gone and you can be free again with your feelings. The thing is with sugar babies, so like they are basically playing a role. And when you go out with them, you're seeing the good side of them. And this is the role that they're playing. And then when you move in, it's a whole different ballgame because now you're seeing all sides of them. And they're not the same person. They're not that happy-go-lucky Violet. Oh, there's my Violet we've grown to love. You're seeing all sides of her, and she's not comfortable with that. And it just creates this tension. I encountered it with Kimmy when Kimmy was living with me.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I noticed it too.
Because Kimmy and I had this arrangement for 3 weeks, and she just stayed in her fucking room. Now, she was sick, and she had some things going on, but I was like, man, this is just not happening.
Yeah, I always wondered if she was really sick or if she just felt like ooh, there's a lot of pressure here, and I'm just going to avoid the pressure and just keep to
That's
myself.
Interesting that you say that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because these girls stayed in their room
Yeah.
22 hours a day.
Kimmy and I got along fantastically before with this great rapport, and we're the best now. But during it, it was so awkward and tense filled, and she had other interests, and she didn't obviously want to share those with me because she didn't know how I would react or what I would think. And so finally, she was on the couch, and I go, look, let's just end this because I don't think this is working for me, and it's not working for you. I value our friendship more than I do trying to have some intimacy here and some sexual relations with you. And all of a sudden, that just released all this tension, and we ended up doing like a 7-hour ride to Vegas together because we got rerouted because there was a big accident or something. We had to go through California and then up to Vegas. Got along fabulously the whole entire trip. She was there to meet a guy, and I don't know, and it's just been great ever since. But just when we tried to do this thing, similar to what you were doing, it was not working at all.
Wow.
At all.
Well, that makes me wonder if I may have mishandled it at the end. If all she needed was to release the pressure and we would have been fine, because that's exactly what it was.
Well, every
But by then,
situation's
I
a
had
little
decided
different,
she's
but that's
evil. So
That's
yeah.
what I've noticed. So.
Wow, that's an interesting observation. I did not come up with that in the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
it's hard. It's tough.
Wow.
Well, and because you are feeling rejected, you feel like you've offered these young women this great situation, and you're not feeling any gratitude or affection coming back your direction. So you do feel cheated and you do feel rejected.
Yeah.
Whereas
true.
we're complicated. Our feelings get involved and we get moody and we have our ups and downs and physical situations. And so,
With and without makeup.
yeah.
Yeah. But Sugar Daddy Dwayne, I didn't do this just once. I did it 4 to 5 times.
Wow.
So,
Glutton for punishment, are
well,
you?
every situation seemed different.
Right. This one, it'll work this time. Yeah.
Anyway, we can go into my stories on another episode, but just reiterate, I know exactly what you went through. I can feel everything that you went through because I've gone through that multiple times, and it's tough. It's tough to have an arrangement with somebody and an agreement and then also live together.
So the moral of the story is don't ask Summer to live with you.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm hearing a different moral. The moral of this story is when I do this again, and I'm saying when because let's be honest, I'm a softie. It'll happen eventually. Make sure to take the pressure off because maybe that's all it is.
Yeah, but
I don't think that's Violet's case. I don't think that's what's going on.
But that's
there.
difficult to do.
And I think if you want an actual real relationship, and I know that's not what you were going for in that scenario, but you got to take the pressure off.
Well, he liked her, though.
I think
the
that's
thing.
why
do,
Trucker and I get along so well is, yeah, it started out as an arrangement, but he doesn't have a lot of expectations of me, which is wonderful because that makes me feel relaxed enough to really go all in. And he doesn't ever put pressure on me, ever.
And see, those principles are emphasized, and I recommend this highly, the book or the Audible of Corey Wayne, 3% Man, because 97% of the men don't understand that. And they talk about that a lot in there, making somebody feel comfortable by almost, how would he say it, making your intentions a little bit unclear instead of so clear. Like Trucker. He's just very like, okay, if you do, you do. If you don't, that's great. Whatever,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
It just, water off my back
Like,
or
I
whatever.
feel
right?
like if I would have had the same, it almost feels like what you did with this girl was a contract. You can live here rent free. I'll pay for your food, room and board. You can bring your friends. You can bring your dog. But you've got to do this, 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 and this. That's what I'm getting out of it. So then I think that became so contractual that
it put the pressure on.
it did.
But then again,
it created anxiety.
but here's the
in her.
fine line. What if they don't know the expectations?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So you got to have a discussion somewhere, right?
Right.
About expectations, and you want to be a good communicator, and you want both sides to be agreeable, but sometimes it creates pressure like
Well,
that.
and it's interesting because as you say that, at the beginning, I thought my mistake was that I wasn't specific enough. I thought the mistake was, we'll just figure it out. You're right down the hall. We'll figure it out. And I thought, well, I wasn't specific enough. So then when it wasn't happening, well, obviously I didn't communicate very well. This is my fault. So let me just fix it now. Here's what I have in mind. But by then it may have already been ruined. But I don't know. That's an interesting
I don't know.
idea.
I think you did the right thing by talking about the expectations, but I think the first signs that you're like, oh, something's wrong here, then I think that's the time to have the conversation of, if this is making you feel uncomfortable, because I don't want to be walking on eggshells in my own house. And that's exactly what you were doing.
Yeah.
All the time. And it was driving you absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you've been there. Yeah.
Yes. More than
That's
once.
an interesting idea. I will take that as a, moral of the story and see where that goes. Yeah.
I don't know if there is a perfect answer to this in a perfect scenario, because everybody is different emotionally, and some people are narcissistic and some people are very empathetic, and it's just everybody's so complicated, and it's just a case-by-case situation. And you're not the only guy that's gone through this. Guarantee you I'm going to get a ton of letters and emails from people going, yep, let me tell you a story. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, as always, the hour goes very quickly.
Well, I would apologize for being wordy, but it's a podcast. I'm supposed to talk, right?
That's right.
Words.
We're definitely going to have you back. You're going to have to keep us informed of how it's going with summer. We didn't even really get into that, but it sounds like that one's going really well.
Going really well.
Until it fucks up. No, or if there's some success, we definitely want to hear about it. We love success
See
stories.
where it goes. You bet.
Yeah.
You bet.
Well, if you want to share your crazy sugar dating stories, go to our website at secretsofasugardaddy.com. Follow us on Instagram at the same name. Also, too, I'm going to take a picture of Lily's boots again. Apparently, I misspoke on those last time. I thought they were red. She informed me they were pink.
They were hot pink.
But hey, when I posted
Okay,
the
I guess
picture,
they were light red.
when I posted the picture on Patreon and showed it to you, you're like, okay, I can see where you got red from. But
Sort of,
anyway.
kind of.
Well, when you wore them last night with your pink outfit, they definitely looked pink.
Yeah.
But anyway, Lily's got some fantastic black boots on today. I love your outfit. We're going to take a picture. We're going to
goodness.
post it on Patreon. And also, you will be able to hear all the episodes and the extra sugars before anybody else. We'll post those on there days before they're released. You get to hear it in the entirety before any of the world gets to hear those. It's only $10 a month. And what do we do with that $10 a month? Well, this show is very expensive. Lily charges me.
Yes, I do.
Every hour that she edits the podcast.
And it takes me forever because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah. And, the studio costs and all this other stuff. And we are planning our next party. Let me just tell you some of the benefits of becoming a VIP member of our Patreon. First invites to our next party. You get to hear all the episodes first. Coaching and profile reviews. That's something new that we've added. Contact us. We'll be happy to look at your profile for $10. I'm telling you, that's cheap. But, if we get enough people, then we do okay. But right now, we're just using those funds to cover studio costs and editing and all that good stuff. So we really, really appreciate your support. If you want to keep hearing the show, we're still going to keep doing it, but it'll help. And then we can throw some really good parties, too. It'll help offset some of the costs.
Yeehaw.
All right. All right, Lily, anything else that you want to add to today's amazing podcast with Sugar Daddy Dwayne?
I don't think so. Just
You're good to go?
thanks for being a part of our little world.
There
You're
you
welcome.
go. All right, Dwayne. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.